the wrong button earlier instead of just muting us.
You reset.
No, I was like, yes, this is the mute button, right? And I clicked the little switch that actually removes us from stream.
That's unfortunate. That was my first time seeing our new intro and stuff. It was very, very neat. I like the welcome
Thank
to the book
you.
talk. Because I'm like looking at myself on my computer, but it's running from the laptop. There's a slight delay in my own mouth, and it's fucking me up. I was like, oh, no looking at myself today. So I'm going to be making like direct eye contact with you on my screen to avoid looking at myself.
That's fine.
Or looking everywhere but the screen.
Sorry. We should go ahead and let the peoples know why we're here. Or the people. The person. So this is our book talk, our twice a month-ish book club where we discuss books that either CB enjoys or I enjoy, and we wanted to force the other one to read. This go was my pick, and I picked book 2 in the Supernatural singles, which is Not Your Ex's Hexes. The first book was about the oldest of a set of triplet witches. She got together with a werewolf. And this one is about the middle in the set of triplets who gets together with a half demon. I don't know why he had to be half, but...
Because he had to wrestle between his human half and his demon half.
I guess that's fair.
Even though he could just like wrestle between his inner demon.
There was literally like no difference between him and his older brother.
No, there wasn't. I even liked his older brother more. But anyways.
All right, so we should summarize the plot, shouldn't we?
Yes. It's your week. This is your choice, so you have to do it.
Yeah,
no rambling monologues for me.
That's next time. All right, so basically, Rose had been raised to be the prima apparent, which is like the high witch seat in the high supernatural council. That's like has more power than literally anybody else on the council, though. However, because her older sister presumably had no magic. However, in book 1, her sister hit late magic puberty, and Rose very happily gave the role over to her, but now that she's not going to be prima apparent, the job she is trained for literally since she was like 9, she has to figure out what she wants to do with life. And as she's going through this life crisis, she and her galley pals try to steal a horse.
2 horses.
2 horses. Because at least one of them is Emanci. It's very obviously that they were emanciated, abused horses. Did not have the 2 brain cells to research where they were stealing them from. And while organizing this heist, which was a rescue center, gets the police called on them. They get thrown in jail. The guys come to bail them out of jail. Turns out our lead love interest from book 1's bestie is our love interest in this book. And he and the main character have already had a one-night stand. Which
5-minute stand.
Yeah, 5-minute stand, which was in the epilogue of the last
romp in a closet.
Yes, technically we do not know how long the romp lasted, just that it was a romp in a clset and they were
less than an hour.
But yeah, they're kind of like physically obsessed with each other now. Well, she has to do community service for trying to steal from them, and not because the rescue center pressed charges, just because the supernatural council is like, you can't just try to steal horses with no consequences.
Yeah.
And like, so you have to do volunteer work. And so she does, and this is how her and our lead, whose name is escaping me.
Damien.
Thank you, Rose and Damien. This is how they like kind of bond, because she has to do her service at his rescue center, which is where he works and also lives. And yeah, the plot of the book is it's a very romance book. It's just them getting together. Oh, and he has one of the most convoluted hexes in all of paranormal history. He can't fall in love or he will lose his soul, as far as he is aware.
Yeah, his heart.
Oh, his heart, my bad. No,
No,
because
both
he's
of
also
them.
worried
They
about
said
his
both.
soul.
They said both.
Yeah. Yeah, they said if he loses his heart, then he loses his soul, implying that like if he falls in love, if he gives his heart away, then he loses his soul. But what eventually he falls in love with the main character and starts getting chest pain, starts having heart attacks, fucking seizures.
Not even that dramatically. He has chest pains and then collapses. It is very sudden.
But thankfully, like, he goes to his ex, and she's basically just like, I come from a long line of seers, and for whatever reason, your redemption to not being a horrible person
16-year-old. A 16-year-old who's kind of a dick. Okay.
Was to curse him so that he just didn't love people until. Oh, but if he does a grand gesture, then he can work through it. I don't know what the point of the hex was, to be honest, and I am still not 100% certain why that is what would break it. And it's not even like because of the rules of magic, it's just
dumb.
Sorry. I've read a lot of supernatural shit, and like, this isn't one of those times, because we have a lot of times where there's some things and I'm like, well, like, I just, like, I assume or I implied based on the context and stuff and trusting the author. This is not one of those times I can do that. I'm just like, what the fuck, Miss Asher? It was such a big, important thing. It was a soul hex, too. And
which
like,
are not illegal, but should be, apparently. Seems like they should get on that to fix it. If only they knew someone with important political positions. Oh, wait.
Yeah, but Grandma Merlin probably knew that this was good for him, and so that's why. Because she got that weird prophecy, not prophecy radar.
Is that the end of your summary?
That is the end of my summary.
Cool. I did not like this book.
I will say I barely remembered anything about this book, and now I know after re-listening to it twice this month. It's because so much of the story involves them just having sex or being hot for each other, and typically, like, my memory for books.
Yeah.
Like, if I know a book, even if I don't remember it by the title or something, after I read the summary, I remember an ass ton amount of information. Yeah. But when I read a romance novel that's just primarily sex or horny, I forget so much of it because I just don't care because I'm demisexual and I'm just like, I can't relate. There are some parts in the sex scenes where I'll be like, oh yeah, I relate to that, but like,
they're well written sex scenes. It's
yeah,
everything else I could not stand. I, from the very beginning, this book put me on like what the fuckness.
yeah.
One from we discussed this a bit last stream how the cover of this book does not match the description we were given in book one of Rose. Rose was described as tall, model-like, slender. In this book, they're like, no,
To be
she's like
fair, I
tall,
don't remember if
5'8" tall, and then like broad-shouldered. And I'm like, that's not what you said.
To be fair, I don't know if the word slender was ever actually used in book one, just that she was tall and model-esque, which...
I think they said runway model, which to me
Yeah,
implies
which...
an extremely particular body shape.
No, I definitely agree with you. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
in fairness, I don't think she ever used the word slender, but because runway model, like, runway models have not yet reached inclusivity,
Yeah.
so it's a very specific body type. And in this one, no, they specifically refer to her as tall, and with
She's 5'8". So she's
yeah,
so tall. She barely finds men that are taller than her. Sorry, my mom's 5'10". I'm not. I'm 5'5", but I have lots of female friends who are like 5'10", 6 foot, 6'4", like tall women.
yeah, and
And
like,
them being like, oh, she's 5'8", and him being like, oh my god, she's so tall, that's so nice. And I'm like, she's 5'8". Like, which there's
also
nothing wrong with
she
that height.
has
You
a...
guys are acting like she's 6'7". Like,
I got real confused because the first time her body is described, it says that she's tall and has a shifter build, and
yeah.
I'm like,
The fuck does
that's
that
not
mean?
runway model to me. I'm like,
No.
first of all, what are you telling me? Are
Yeah,
all
also, what about
shifters
like
built the
pack
same?
shifters? Like
Because
feline shifters? Are they
yeah, I'm like, because if this is a world with a variety of different animal shifters, I don't think there should be a standardized build for them.
yeah.
They should, especially if they are as influenced by their animal side as
Mhm.
book one would imply. Also, I need to know, did you forget the dad is in this book?
He does show up for like a line.
Because like I read it and then I dead ass forgot he was in it, and then on this reread I was like, he
I feel like he
exists.
should be dead. They're not using him at all. Just kill him.
Just kill
Like
him.
you can't have
No,
a character that tied into the
let
family and
him.
not use them. Just kill them.
No, let the lion shifter live. That's the other thing. He's a lion shifter.
Yeah, and if they said like they did say she had their dad's build like after that, but originally they said she has the build of a shifter. So
Yeah.
anyways, that being like the first thing, and I'm all for like body diversity and everything, like 100%. Like the build they described is similar to what I have, just a tad shorter.
Mm-hmm. No,
But
I
then
love me some biodiversity. I
body
do love
diversity.
some bio. I do love biodiversity, but I also love
Okay, so
the bees. The bees.
um, but
No,
I would
but
love. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, it's. But the thing is, it's like you and I both know we are not critiquing her body. We are critiquing the inconsistency
Yeah,
with which it is described. So presumably, she is intended to be short and thicker and
tall.
curved.
No, like
Oh,
they're
tall
tall.
and thicker. That's right. Well, all
She's
right.
5'8", but they repeatedly in the
By
beginning say how tall she
Sam's
is.
by Sam's description, she is supposed to be of average height
Yeah.
and thicker, right? Like more, honestly, somewhere between your and my size, I think is the intention. Maybe like height wise between us, and then a little like thicker. Um, See, but I can't even say chubbier in good conscience because they call it a shifter build. And I exceptionally rarely have seen chubby shifters.
No, they just talked
They're
about how her
generally very
shoulders
fat.
and her hips were broad, which I'm like, yeah, okay. Like she just has a broader skeletal structure and the muscle,
Yeah.
like the inherent muscle, she didn't build up muscle or anything like that, but like her inherent musculature and body is more an athletic build, I think is what it would be called. But okay,
Yeah.
so I would prefer if they kept her in that like model look for the consistency, and then part of her like finding herself is like letting her relax a little bit, because a model build is typically, not for everyone, but for a typical person, is not a healthy lifestyle of like to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be like a really cool part of the story where she's like finding herself and like stepping away from that prima in training lifestyle where like she's strict all the time and has all that, to like let herself relax in like the routines that would be typically implied to have developed that kind of model like build. Obviously,
Yeah.
some people just have that build naturally, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for the majority of people, like it takes a lot of work to aim towards.
Yeah, that
Uh,
would have been really, really nice to see. I will
yeah,
say, while I didn't enjoy this book nearly to the same extent as I did book one, I did still like this book. Uh, I love the mom's character arc in the background where apparently she had a health scare
I
and it
was
changed
like, what?
it changes to her prior. Well, I mean, you can see it in like little ways and stuff here and
Yeah,
there. And then
but
she confesses to her daughters, and she's like, "I had a health scare, and it like made her reprioritize."
I
And honestly, the fact that it does, like the way it's handled, that's very much how most parents handle
oh
their
yeah,
health with their
yeah,
children. So
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, that's
Um,
fair."
but
Um, Again, I wish the dad had dialogue.
yeah, he held his wife's hand, and that's all men should do. Okay, so the first thing that gave me like a because getting through the first 2 hours of the book was the hardest for me.
It
Um
really was. Y'all, we had to reschedule the stream
because I
for
was
a
like,
week
okay, so I
later.
kept trying to get in the mood where I'd like tolerate the book, but I'd literally like multiple times I'm like, okay, I have a half an hour drive, I can like listen to some of the book. I turn it on, I've turned it off within like 2 minutes. I'm like, I can't fucking stand this right now. Because the like so horny. And then the nonsensical like plot jabbing in of her seeing the emaciated horses and immediately like, oh, I have to go get my friends in a trailer and steal the horses, rather than being like, hey, animal control. Or like talking to the
Honestly,
fact that her sister's fiance is the alpha of North America. She has connections of people. Like it's not like she's like a criminal on the run and she can't call the proper.
well,
Or,
I will say, depending on animal controls, like it depends on the city as to how effective that would or would not be.
yeah, but they're
And
on
like
like
even later, there's like some abandoned puppies,
yeah,
and they were like, we don't want to get animal control involved because a lot of times, and especially if animal control and the shelters and stuff are overrun, their like go to is more likely
euthanasia.
to get thank you, euthanasia as opposed to rehabilitation. So I can kind of understand
But
that.
he doesn't
But
have
yeah, not like asking Lincoln. Also, poor Lincoln. He gets a he's his wife, and he's like, "Where are you?"
the
And
police
she's like,
station.
"The police station." He's like, "What?" He just wants more information. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, no, no, I understand. I don't know the full story." And
I'm
I'm
not
like,
mad at you. I'm just so confused.
I'm like, "Violet, you already know it's not better once he knows the full story."
Yeah.
Like, you
So the
stop yelling at that
level
man.
of nonsense to get to that point, because like all of these characters, like If they were fucking like 16 years old and this happened, I'd be like, fucking idiot teenagers. I say as a former idiot teenager, like,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, the
they are
idea.
adults in their 30s with like positions of power. Like they shouldn't.
Well, to be fair, Rose no longer has a position of power. It's
Vi is
okay.
the, gonna be the head of everything, and then Olive is a
Okay,
professor.
let me tell you why the horse rescue doesn't feel unrealistic to me.
Okay.
Why I just judge them for not using 2 brain cells. Vi is not known for using 2 brain cells.
No, she's not.
Very much. This is established. Vi is I love the consistency with her continued character arc where she's just still like, I can't fucking do this. I'm not responsible.
Yeah.
Why is this on me? Rose, I feel like Rose did not have an adolescence per se.
Yeah.
Like she was adultified so that she could be the prima apparent. And a lot of times when teenagers are adultified, when they become adults, at some point they do regress to essentially relive the childhood or adolescence that they missed out on. And so
Yes.
I very much feel that's what Rose is doing. Our succubus has been shown to just do anything. She is just up for anything. She is willing to do anything. And our smart sister, who has a shady past that I really want to know about.
Yeah.
She's just, sometimes you just do the stupid thing with your sibling because it's what your sibling needs in that moment. That's why I find, like, is it smart? No, but it's okay. Characters are allowed to be dumb. For me, anyway.
Yes. For me, it's the fact that, like,
Yeah.
they didn't do anything first. Like, if
Yeah.
she called the police and they blew her off, and then she's like, fuck it, I'm doing it myself. Like, if got like a random desk clerk that was like,
No,
like, I would be like, yeah, fucking steal those horses. Like, this is a bad idea, but go off. But the fact they did literally nothing.
I will say I also
Google search.
I judged Damien for getting so. At first, he's like charmed that they're in jail, and then he's like, how dare they think that I would mistreat horses? How dare they try to steal my horses that I stole in the first place? And I'm like, Damien.
I'm like, it's just, it felt contrived a lot. And I know that, like multiple points throughout the plot, things where I'm like, okay. It's like the entire Hex felt contrived for the conclusion to happen.
It very much, it feels like, except for the timeline, it feels more like this would have been a book 1 and book 2, or book 1 would have been a book 2, just with like book 1's narrative and story. And generally, I don't compare books, but these are 2 books in a series, and it just, it feels like book 1 was so much more put together, and this one feels very much like, it's like there was a concept and there was an idea, but it wasn't
like a first draft, like structure wise.
I would not say a first draft, but it feels like an early draft.
Yeah.
Or an unpolished draft.
Yeah.
But
I'm not against, like, I really liked a lot of moments in the book.
Yeah, it has but that's, I guess that's the thing, is that it has a lot of good moments for me, and I like the characters enough, and I do find the main couple charming. I will say I give a lot of grace to super horny couples in romance novels, even though I cannot relate because I have known super horny people, so I'm just like, oh yeah, people like this exist, it's fine.
I've been sitting in my office chair all day, so my entire body is like, hey, you're becoming aware of your body, everything aches, so that's why I keep like moving up and down, because I'm like, oh, I've made a mistake doing this before we sit down and talk.
It's okay.
You can continue. It's just so much. Like,
no,
I look at Fantasy Lover and Night Pleasure so much better right now. I'm like, I miss you. I miss you.
Once we get to the next book, I don't know how you're gonna feel about that because Sunshine and Talon, that's who these two remind me of. So hopefully you just enjoy the plot better, and that will help you get through the horniness.
Yeah. Okay. Also, speaking of plot, the plot in this, it wants to be like 8 different things. It wants to be like a supernatural hunters. I want to find out more about, like, I feel like I did not get enough information about his cool supernatural hunter past where he made bad decisions. Also, I was listening to really fast, but I still don't get what he did in the past. Like, he stood her up at prom, potentially, because his father mind controlled, or like made him because his father's evil.
No, the compulsion didn't work.
Yeah. But like his father still like made him.
Yeah, he made him stand her up at prom. Okay, but basically that was like the excuse that she used.
She did it because the her prophecy thing. I got that, but I was just like, it's just the prophecy thing is so dumb. It's just so dumb, and it makes
I honestly preferred it when she was just a petty teenager.
I wanted her to be a petty teenager.
Because that made sense.
Not giving me enough attention. Plot twist, I'm a lesbian. It wasn't going to work out anyways. That would have been fun. Like, she has a wife. I'm like, let that, like, I was a dickhead teenager. You were also a dickhead teenager. I made a really bad mistake that fucked your life over.
Yeah.
I would have been and I just.
Yeah, and that would have been such a good, like, plot thing too, because she does so much good now.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where, like, people who do a lot of good and stuff, they can fuck up big, especially in their past. Like, not everybody has to have essentially an almost squeaky clean, background and stuff. That's like Damien's whole thing, is that his background is not squeaky clean.
Yeah, so, and then for the conclusion, if he had one, I haven't seen the movie they're referencing with the boombox. I don't even remember what movie it is.
I've never seen that movie, but I do know of that movie because
I don't like giant gestures of love. I like small little things to show your love. And he does that the entire book. I mean, like a small gesture or like a big thing is fun, but I think it's not nearly as important as the little things. And
I will say I don't think they spent. Okay, I feel like enough time is not spent on it for younger people, but like the big gesture thing, it's very symbolic, and I think the reason he had to do the big this is one of those times where it's like I'm trusting the author because of like my understanding of things.
Okay.
And it's when he was dating the seer, he put so much priority on the demon thing and on his dad's involvement and stuff. And in order to like break the curse, he had to prove that he could put absolutely everything aside, including like his pride and these other things, to do something so out of character, right? He had to do something super out of character to like prove that love is important to him. And that's part of the reason I didn't like the hex and how it was resolved, because I'm like, you don't have to do something against who you are.
Like everything for love. That's not like
this like not.
The fact that he did little things throughout the entire time, or not even little things, like with him being only in boxers at the end, he took off his pants in the subway, like he did the thing, and like he went
back to hunting,
Like, if he refused to do it multiple times at the end, he's like, oh, this is me, like, giving into it. But the fact that multiple times he made those allowances to, like, extend that hand in like, offering, and the only, like, hard and fast no he had was talking about the hex. And I'm like, and then she does find out about the hex, and she's mad at him when he's like, hey, we shouldn't be together because my literal soul again. And she's like, how dare he choose his soul over me? And I'm like, what the fuck? I thought you loved him. You want his soul to get ripped out.
Right? Like, oh my gosh. I feel like,
she's
honestly,
the bad guy in that situation.
She's the villain. I feel like if the hex had just taken a slightly different form, it would have improved things so much. Because like I said, or if like by the end of it he like goes, or he's like, we can't be together because this or that, but then like they meet Cal at the charity thing, and then he brings up the hex and she's like, it's already gone, because he's been doing those little things and stuff. So like he already broke it. Then that would have been so much better. And then they could have focused on some other things.
And I wish he didn't know that he was breaking the hex when he did the thing. Like, the fact that he's like, oh, I know this will save my soul, so I'm going to declare my love. And I'm like, that's not showing it for the love. That's showing it to your soul, which is being ripped out of you right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, by writing the No Pants Express, which chat has no context for. No. But like by doing all of
thing though, like in the story, like, there were moments that I really liked. I mean, I hated it conceptually, not wearing pants, but I liked it as a moment in the story because I had the same reaction to him. It was like, the diseases.
I like how, like with the No Pants, me and the succubus, sometimes we have the same thought processes, because someone was like, no pants on the subway, and it's like the germs, and I'm like, no one said you had to sit down.
Yeah, well, that was Rose, not the succubus. I don't think, but yeah,
no, it was succubus.
Okay, because later Damien goes, like, do you know how many diseases you can get? I think it was Olive and the succubus, and then Damien and Rose to the exact same conversation later.
Essentially, because Rose thinks it's funny.
Yeah, I also don't like the fact that she's like the naive city goer, and he's the like small town vet. Like, it was giving that when she like shows up in heels, and he's like, and like she like doesn't know how to put something, like the fucking over, like her entire first day, and like, but she sticks it out, and he's like, wow, how impressive. Like that, I did not like.
All right, so
but that's just a trope I dislike in general.
I will say I didn't get the feel that's what was going on. I think Rose's first day is supposed to set it up so that that's how he perceives things. But like Rose herself very much doesn't give naive city girl. She's just like, she's a high society, because that's what she's been trained to do. Yeah. And so she's like, oh, he's actually going to make me muck out stalls. So then like next time she shows up in like work attire. But because of like her upbringing, she is suited for both.
Yeah. No,
and I think
I wasn't saying it's the like, it was,
I will say
throughout the thing that where he's like surprised by her getting her, like it kept happening, like when she's crawling under the car, like she's covered, like who would have known? And I'm like, you've been like, she's been doing this for a while now. Like, it's weird that he keeps being surprised by it.
Yeah, it is. I also don't like the forced feminism flags.
Such as?
So when they play pool, and she turns out to be really good at pool, and when she's like, oh, is it because I have boobs? You think that a woman can't be good at pool? And he's like, no, I just thought I'd be better than you because I'm really good at pool. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't like when books do that. When it's like, oh, I assume because you're a man that you're going to be sexist, and then the man's like, no, I'm not sexist. Especially in a book targeting women as the demographic, and I'm like, okay, but so many men are sexist that like it's not unrealistic to assume that. But also, we could just not assume it. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's a
we
work
just
of
not have
fiction.
that assumption.
Could I just, yeah.
I
And
know
like,
him not being like other men.
I don't feel like that was really an issue in book one, where the gender roles were slightly more defined in book one just because of shifter animal instinct naturally leads itself to more like masculine gender role. But like,
it was somehow less weirdly sexist.
Like, yeah, I think it's because in book one it's like there's an understanding that he is this way and that she's okay with him being this way, not because he is a man, but because he's just protective.
Yeah.
Right? It's more natural. It's less, oh, this is how society says we should be. And then in book,
it feels like he recognizes her strength. Like Lincoln recognizes her strength more in book one, and there was not really a question of that. It's just more him like being overprotective, like too protective at some points, and her being like, hey.
And I guess in this book, it feels more like it's trying to make a point that doesn't need to be made because, oh, I think I got where my frustration with it comes out. Which again, I enjoyed this book mainly because I like most of the characters, and I like most of the characters, and I enjoy a lot of the romance moments and stuff. And like I said, I can tune out horniness. It's a non thing for me. But I feel like this one, in a world that we have already been in, that is so well crafted with gender balance versus like society still evolving, not yet perfect. And then it feels like there was the narrative and the narrative to a level is trying to convince us that sexism is a bigger issue than it is in the universe that is established. And that's why some of those moments feel so jarring. You know what I mean?
Because before it's like her assumed in book one, it's her assumed weakness comes from her lack of magic. And then in this one, it's because she's a woman, which and like I don't know, the narrative just keeps putting her in really weird situations to show that like she's a strong woman, and I'm like, I didn't have doubts about that before.
Exactly, it's like
weird.
It's like it's trying to prove a point that we don't need it to prove.
No, because it's already the head of supernatural society. I believe in her. Like, I don't doubt that she is cool. She was good at it too.
Yeah, and when he's really dismissive about, she doesn't wear heels to the animal shelter. She was wearing heels to her hearing.
Right. And that's that you present yourself to those people.
Yeah, and he makes a snipe about that. And I'm like, for a man whose demonic father is in politics, that feels very out of place for him, especially from what we know of Damien. And then it still never makes sense later. But then when she shows up to the animal center wearing light-colored clothes that he doesn't think are suitable for work, but like, that's the other thing. I feel like in that moment, I feel like it was a good characterization moment, but I don't think it was executed in a satisfying way. Because the thing is, when she shows up, like, there's a part with the gala and she shows up to the animal thing, because the cranky horse, and she's in a ball gown, and she just goes right in and like gets the ball gown run. So I think that's the thing where he's like, oh, you need to have like old ratty clothes and stuff to do the hard labor. And for her, those are her casual, like those are her work
This is
clothes.
what I got. Like,
She's just,
I don't have
she's just
paint
like,
splattered jeans lying
yeah,
around.
she's just like my. So I think that could have been a good thing where instead of focusing on her being like, oh, I thought I was just doing paperwork, she could be like, these are my work clothes. And then he could be like, damn, she got money to burn. And
Yeah.
those are her work clothes, which would have still made sense for her character.
Another thing with the money comment, they keep giving their female leads weird money issues that I feel like their family doesn't. They are rich. They are
They are
so rich.
like, they are
And then
high
I'm like,
society
Olive
rich.
shouldn't have to have a roommate. She's rich, and she has a job. Rose should
I
be able
know
to
it's
do, like, she shouldn't have to have a job. They're rich, like, she should have something to occupy her time, but like, she doesn't need, like,
you don't have access to the family trust until the prima apparent dies. Until their grandmother dies, they are dirt poor.
Yeah.
Because that's
I'm
how
just like,
that
this
works.
is wild. Like, why are you acting like you're poor? Or like, why are you acting like you aren't so, like, the narrative doesn't want us to view them as rich people, even though they're in high society.
Yeah, which
And there's
I'm like,
nothing wrong with them being rich.
I
Like,
would prefer they just own up to the fact that like Lincoln is stupidly rich. And I
yeah.
would like them to own up to the fact that the girl should also be stupidly rich, or give me a small, just even a one line justification of like from the time they are this age until like at this point they have to earn their, because there's actually quite a few millionaires who, like Bill Gates did not support his kids, I think, because he wanted his kid, or no, it's in his will, none of his money goes to his kids.
Damn.
Because he wanted his children to be self-sufficient, and he didn't want them to be like super entitled. So I don't remember if he paid for their college or not, but it's basically they have had to, like, they've had the privileges of having a rich upbringing, but when it comes to their own income, they did have to earn their own income.
Yeah.
And so it could be a situation like that. But if it's a situation like that, I need to be made aware of it, because otherwise it doesn't make sense.
I have the same gripe with book one where she's working in a bar, and but she has a studio apartment that seems pretty nice in New York. And
I feel it makes more sense for Vi, though, especially in book one before she's the prima apparent, because she's the rebellious child who's trying to like,
she's doing a thing by working in the bar, and then she can't have a full-time job because she's spending all her time volunteering. And I'm like, okay, but and then you have this book where I'm like, what? Why is she being an Uber driver? Like,
well, she doesn't need. For Rose, it's like
she's trying to find herself, but I feel like she should be going on like weird expeditions and working like weird jobs. Like, or being an Uber driver is a weird job, but I feel like she should be working like wonky things. I'm like, girl, what are you doing this week? Like that kind of like, oh, I'm trying to find myself. I'm going on a journey, rather than just like working. Like she was an office clerk, but like pre the book starting, and I'm like, why?
Okay, so the office clerk and the barista kind of make sense to me because they're both, well, I guess the Uber thing would fall into that. These are jobs where like she still has to interact with, they're customer service jobs, but at the same time, I don't think anybody trying to find themselves is going to try Uber.
No.
That people who do Uber generally do so for easy money.
Or lack of another option.
Yeah, or lack of options. So
and it was just so like weird. That was distracting the whole book. She's like, I just got fired, and I'm like, oh no.
I feel like her. Well, okay, so if we take a step back from our poor people perspective, she's never actually stressed about money.
No.
It's about the failure associated with being fired.
Yeah, but
because she's never failed before.
yeah.
So that again, that's one of those moments where for us it's like, why are you even bothering? But at the same time,
It's a weird way to execute this storyline they're trying to do.
I think it would have been fine. Like, I think the problem is that all of these problems by themselves would be forgivable. But
but it's a
because,
lot.
yeah, because they're all tangled within each other.
Yeah.
I do love the live stream charity or the live stream donation things because and the puppy fostering.
No, I like the live stream charity donation, but the fact I literally had to pause it for a second when she's like, "Oh, on the first day we only made $50," and I'm like, "Oh, only $50 when you have your stream up for a singular day on a website that you just created." I was like, "There's not the."
Hashtag rich people problems.
I know. I was like, I would like $50 just for like setting up a like. And they didn't pay for the cameras or anything, so it like literally got it from the teenager that works there. And I'm like, I'm missing like, on our first day we already got like $50, like that's awesome. But she's like, oh, we only, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh, 500, 800, oh good. And I'm like, okay, that's how that works.
Bro, taking care of horses is expensive though. Like they
I
said, the
know,
$50.
100%, I know, but it's just like we didn't see work going into the streams other than the one scene where she can't figure out how to set up a camera. And she's like, if this glue doesn't work, then I'm just going to use magic. And I'm like, why aren't you using magic? You have magic. You have so much magic.
Rose seems to avoid using magic. The magic was so much less existing in
which
this
was
book.
weird. Because I know some of it is because they established in the beginning that the animals don't like magic happening around them.
Yeah.
But it was just a lot of avoiding the magic except for the fight scenes. And I'm like, I feel like the world building in this book was lacking because of the lack of magic a little bit, but also just the general world we didn't get to explore at all. Even through like just
I think the
random
world
stuff.
I think the world building was fine, but
I think it was really good in the
less
first one, so it was disappointing in the second one.
okay. That's tricky for me because I'm like, I don't feel like I needed to know more about the world for the plot, so the world building was just fine. And because this is a book too, but that's like kind of the advantage of series is that once the world is established, you don't have to worry about it as much. But it would have been nice to explore the demon hunting a little.
That's I think mostly we got to know a lot about the packs and
Also,
like,
is it only demons that we are hunting? Because I'm sure, well, no, shifters would police themselves.
we hunted one vampire. Or no, we hunted a person pretending to be a vampire. So it's assumed that they do hunt vampires.
Yeah, but vampires might just be considered a type of demon. A lot of paranormal universes do that when they separate species.
And the fact that they hadn't even considered witches being hunters, and I'm like, why not?
Because it's like I was saying with the shifters, it's probably the shifters police themselves. We already know the witches police themselves, so it's probably the demons police themselves. And now the demon police are being like, wait a second, witches are useful.
Maybe we should help each other out. So we don't throw people with the same stat block at each other and hope for the best.
Which is also funny because like the supernatural council, it's basically like each of the like the shifter police bring their FBI's most wanted to the supernatural council, and so do the witches, and so it's like they all have their little like police forces who bring them to the Supreme Court.
The ones that they bring to the Sam disappeared. The ones that they bring to the Supreme Court. Can you hear? Well, yes. You're muted though. You're muted. You're muted. You're still muted.
I see that. You can unmute me, you know. You
No, but
have
that's
the
like,
power.
I guess I could do it. I have 2 screens of which I could unmute you for. But it seems like they bring them to the supernatural Supreme Court or whatever, and then they make the demons deal with it. Like, I mean, it's implied there's a character named Charlie, and which every time they brought her up, I was like, huh? Who is ends up being Rose's
That was the
hunter
bartender.
trainer. Which, yeah, but who ends up being Rose's hunter trainer? Which, what? I thought she wasn't gonna be a hunter. I mean, it's fine. I feel like the whole hunter thing was just thrown in as like a, I don't know.
I see, that's the thing. I really like her trying all these mundane-ish jobs only to discover that, like, because, okay, so here is how I feel Rose's character arc is supposed to be interpreted.
Okay.
She steps down from being prima apparent, which is like a super supernatural job, right?
Yeah.
You do not get more supernatural in the jobs than the prima apparent. Yeah. And then she tries all these mundane jobs, right? Essentially. Yes. And then she finds herself and her true calling not in the mundane per se, but in the vigilante verse, right?
I feel like it's protecting.
Where by day she's taking care of and protecting the animals at the animal shelter, and then by night it's using her magic to take down to take down threats to the populace, right?
Yeah.
And conceptually, I really like that arc for her. And it's just,
I love a vigilante, but I'm just like, I don't think it was well executed, which I think is where you're going with that. But
I think so. It's kind of funny because we both didn't particularly enjoy how little of the spotlight Lincoln got, but I feel like Damon's curse should have got less front spotlight and more backlight, and I feel like it should have focused more on Rose's like personal journey. Also, we did not need the stereotypical issues of everybody trying to fix Rose up. Like, if we could just have removed that from, if that would have been removed from the book, it would have left more space for her finding herself within the hunter thing, right?
I wish we had less horny time and less lines about getting batteries for her fucking vibrator and more time about her, like, her. I don't care about her vibrator.
Let me tell you.
I don't care it has a name. I don't care, like, her batteries keep.
Let me tell you. I am gray sexual.
Mm-hmm.
But early on in my marriage, there was a time we had to step back because you can, in fact, have too much sex. I am so concerned about her vagina. I don't think it's healthy to use the vibrator as often as she's using them.
Or, like, get better batteries. Like, I'm trying to, like, figure out, like, what is your timetable here, girlfriend? Like,
I'm pretty sure the batteries are not the problem.
She keeps
and I don't know if she's using
at home.
I don't know if she's using a magical solve or something to keep her vagina healthy, but it's just, I am so concerned with the amount of self-servicing she is doing with that dildo named Mr. Wiggles.
It's so
concerned.
Crazy how much they're like, and I like the idea that she hasn't had, like, she's had like selfish lovers in the past, or like only have had like one or two, but it just,
her having had a shitty sex life until she meets a demon is great to me.
Yeah, I mean, like,
not great for her.
Her experiencing like a lover that cares about her sexually, like in the bedroom, versus and him show, even when they have this facade on their relationship that we're like no emotions attached, yet he's showing more care about how she feels in the bedroom than any of her previous lovers who's supposed to be invested in all of her life show. I'm like, that's really cool. Please stop talking about her or like not even her dildo, just her vibrator, because it's so much. Yeah, and it just like, that's where the horniness of the whole story, I feel like they focus too much on the actual physical horniness than the yearning or like the emotional repercussions of this, or like, is she yearning for like
this is
really just
definitely
dick, or for like an emotional connection with someone that cares about her, like that
this
kind
is
of
definitely one of those books where it takes for granted that lust does not equal love and love does not equal lust.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're supposed to get that they're so horny for each other because they're soulmates and like they're actually in love and stuff. And I'm like, but can Damien, instead of just thinking about taking her clothes off, also think about like how she looked when he woke up that before her, right?
Yeah.
Or can Rose, which they had like a singular time like that, where
where she's super tired and they came back and they watched the movie. I was like, oh, I'm so happy about that. But they ended up being horny in that scene. She's like, him sitting next to me on the couch, like I can feel it in my skin. And I'm like, this is supposed to be a cute, you just spent the entire evening hanging out with some old people and playing bingo. That's awesome. I loved that, like actual bonding outside your horniness. And then you come back here and you're going to continue that. And then you didn't. And like they didn't talk.
I will say I wish that there was less horniness, because also because that part where it's like he's right next to me and I can feel him in my skin, that doesn't have to be a horny feeling.
Yeah.
Like that can be such a like just sort of an intimate and a romantic thing, where you're just existing with someone, and just by existing with them, and like it's like I talked to my friend about, like, you can kind of tell, which this isn't about April Asher. I'm just saying in general. Sometimes you can tell when somebody writing romance or something has experienced like an ongoing romantic relationship and stuff, because they, or at least has done the research too, because they will be the ones that put in those tiny little moments that you don't consciously think about most of the time.
Yeah.
Like when you're just existing in bed and you slide your foot over just to touch the other person.
Yeah.
Like not even to acknowledge, not even to get their attention. You just part of you just subconsciously reaches out just to touch them, just to feel them. And like so many little things like that. And I feel like, the sitting beside them is like, well, I can feel their breath. That could have been one of those moments.
I read earlier this week. I haven't finished it, but I'm quite close to being. Don't Want You Like a Best Friend, or Don't Love You Like a Best Friend by Emma Alpin, which is lesbian Bridgerton. And it does a really good job of, like, it has sex scenes and they are horny for each other later, like once they realize that they're lesbians. But there's so many intimate moments that are just like them holding hands or like brushing skirts, or like literally so many just tiny little things where I'm like, yes, that is it. Like that is them falling in love. And even after, like, though they don't realize it yet, but even when they do realize it, just like they're yearning for the other person's presence in their life. Like, yes, they're also like, I want to feel her skin on me in a way. But it has that just the love is present along with the lust, and I just think it does that really well. And I think reading that and then immediately reading this, I'm just like,
it made it even more jarring.
Yeah, I'm like, they're just horny, like it's just lust, and there are moments that should be like intimate love moments, but they're like overshadowed by his dick's hard, like her underwear is wet, and I'm like, I don't
Let me
care.
tell you, I fucking hate the feeling of soggy underwear.
Yeah,
like
and she keeps talking about it. I'm like, that is terrible.
I'm like, that is such a. I have to like tune that idea, that concept out when I read romance novels. It's like, oh, well, at least specifically if it says the underwear is wet. If they just say that like she got wet, then I can be like, okay, it's the underwear is not soggy. Just magically, the underwear is
Yeah,
not
yeah,
soggy, and
there's
we're
nothing
good.
about it. Or just be like, there's a warmth like in the nether regions or whatever. Like, I'd be more okay with that than literally being like sopping down there, guys. Like, I don't want that. I don't want to read about this. Like, or for the guys where it's like his cock throbbed, and I'm like, yeah. Or like they're straining against his jeans, and I'm like, that sounds uncomfortable. Like, this
Let me
does
tell
not
you,
sound like
being
a
the
yes, I want
being
this to happen.
all right, I have to. Don't interrupt. I gotta finish this all
Okay.
in one go, or it's gonna sound weird.
Okay.
So, having been the only girl in a group of teenage boys, and we were all very open and candid about things like this. So, like they were very well educated on periods because of me, and I was very well educated on the inconveniences of having a dick because of them. That shit legit hurts. Like, if it is
100%.
throbbing, they are actually in pain. I felt so bad for them. I'm like, I can't imagine. Like, don't. So anytime I read like a scene where it's like, oh, the dick throbbed, I'm like, that poor man.
And his dick throbbed for about half of this book.
I
Like, she would be
know.
wearing jeans, and he's like, my cock. And I'm like,
Also,
those are
walking
pants.
with a stiffy is awkward.
Yeah. At one point,
Especially if you wear tight pants,
he
which
goes,
it is implied he
if they
does.
were in a fight, he would have an erection. And I'm like, so your dick's aware enough? Like, oh no, our life is in danger. No, like hard on. But every other time, it's like, no, like, what?
Well, there actually, yeah, there is like something to that because of the way blood flow and adrenaline work. So
yeah, no, but he said he didn't
yeah,
have one that time. And I'm like, no, from what I know, the blood flow would make it more likely.
no, I mean because of like where the blood flow would be directed.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't have a penis, and
neither.
I'm not a or easy access to ask people questions about this.
It's like
So
general. It's like this the kind of the same concept where in sports guys
yeah,
don't really have to worry about boners in sport because it's like I don't know. I assume it's a survival thing
I hope
that
so.
like if the adrenaline and stuff is going, their body is in fact aware and like the penis has a mind of its own. So
Little brain down there. I literally wrote down like, "Yay, no erection during the fight," because if they're in a life and death situation, and that was one of my issues with the Sherilyn Kenyon one, where they're in life and death situation, he has a hard on, and I'm like, I don't want to be reading about this right now. You're in a life and death situation, so the fact that in this it's like, hey, we're in a life and death situation, no erection. I'm like, cool. They usually use the word erection, and I was like, good job.
look, Miss Asher is more aware of the limitations of the penis than Sherilyn is apparently. It's fine.
And then I have another when they're having sex for the first time, it goes, he snapped her bra, and then her like panties came next. Snapped her bra? Snapped it?
I think that okay, I think there was a word missing. I think it's supposed to be snapped off her bra. But you are right, without the off,
Even
that
snapped
just
off
sounds
her
painful.
bra. I'm like, what's snapping? What kind of clasp does she have on her bra? Like,
Some
what?
of them come with the button.
But it's not a snap. Like, it has to be unhooked still.
No, the not the hook, the button.
A button? Oh,
Button.
I've never seen a bra with a button.
They're like I've only seen one rarely, but also I look when they say they
okay.
snap. Yeah. Also, I just sort of imagine like it said snapped. I'm like, oh, so he ripped it off. That's hot.
Yeah,
That's how I took it.
it was for vibes, but I still did not appreciate it because I was just like, did he break it? That sounds like he broke it. Bras are expensive. And I feel like she would have really nice bras. For all of her like nice dresses and stuff. And I was like, someone snap my bra? There would be words. It would be the end of anything happening.
For me, it depends. I'm like, look, if you want to break it, you got to buy me a replacement of equal or better quality.
Depends on what bra it is. I was like, no, I wore that.
I know I'm real sentimental about some of them.
Don't break my shit.
I also have like my regular bras and then the sexy time bras. So I don't care if the sexy time bras break. I don't wear them usually anyway.
For them. But yeah, that's the end of my general note. Oh, yeah, I feel like I did write something in the notes on my phone at one point. I have like my normal little sticky notes, and then I did. Oh yeah, this is her second book out of the two of her books that we have read, where the female lead falls off a ladder and is caught by the male lead.
I'm okay with that trope.
I know. I was just like, again, girl, we need no more ladders in this world. These sisters need to stay away from ladders. No women in this world should approach a ladder unless there is a man within 50 feet, so he can teleport over and they can.
No, that's the thing. They are just fine on the ladder until he shows up.
So you have to make sure no men are nearby before you use any ladders.
At least not their love interest.
Oh, there goes the camera again.
It's fine. It's
fine. I wish there was a stronger trigger from him in the beginning to turn to hunting in this new age, because he's like, oh, I'm not gonna hunt, like turns away his brother, and then she's like, we only got $50 in donations. And he's like, oh, I guess I'll turn to hunting now. I do like later that it was like he was just scoping out the place before.
Okay, well, see, I disagree.
Okay.
Because his motivation for going on a hunt is the paycheck, and they list things that the animal shelter really needs.
Yes.
And one of them is like a better fence for the horses.
One of them
fences
water.
are, yeah, and like fences are fucking expensive, and horses drink a lot. So I like that his first motivation for doing it actually has nothing to do with her, and it is for the shelter.
Yeah, I misspoke. I liked that. No, within the actual like narrative, the way it's structured is he goes, no, I'm not hunting, or like he's proposed with hunting from his brother. He speaks to his dad, grandfather figure, who's like, hey, like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to pull you out of this if you get caught up in again, which I want more details on. And then she walks in and is like, we only have $50. And it seems like that $50 is the fact that one last hope failed, that he turns to hunting. And I wish it had just been like phrased differently. So it's, he is like holding out for this idea that she came up with that he pretends not to believe in, but he was really hoping that it would work.
Okay, well,
and that being the trigger for him to go hunting. But I just feel like it's a weird, I think it's compounded by the fact that $50 on the first date isn't bad.
Yeah, for me, for him, he was already tempted when he talked to, like, he hung up with his brother, and part of him was like, he knows that one of the only reasons he's saying no is because it was his brother asking. But he was like, but damn it, my brother's right. Fuck him. And then he's like, oh, and she only like got us 50. That'll like, you know, it's like a bridal, and that's it.
Yeah.
So he's like, but there's so much stuff I really need and I need to take care of. And so like from just looking at him and only him, he's like, I can do this for the animals. It's fine, just once.
Yeah, I do understand like within the world what he did. I just wished it was phrased slightly differently.
His character arc with the Hex, I'm just like, I wanted so much more from this hex to matter,
Yeah.
as it is
Oh.
part of the title. But
If the hex wasn't
I
part of
just
the title, I'd be so
like
much. If the hex didn't happen, I'd be so much more okay with this book. Like if it had
if
no hex,
he
if it was him with a
or like
disgruntled pack being like, "I can't fall in love again," I'd be so much more okay with that.
if the hunting, yeah, as opposed to the hex, or like maybe even the hex did it, is like the hex could have been that like the more he used his demon, the more he lost his soul.
Yeah.
And like so him going hunting actually did resort in his like there's even so much in the book for it already, with every time his demon came out and stuff,
He like
that
has a
like
hard time wrestling it back in, and I'm like, I
yeah,
want
and
to
so
hear
that
about
could have
that.
been tied to the hex.
Yeah. And the fact that he used it to like when she got injured, use his demon form to use the demon portal, which what? Demon portals? That's so cool. Oh, we're never mentioning it again. Okay.
The demon portal was mentioned a couple times.
I know.
But
I know. But I'm just
I
like
know you're so invested in the world and you want to know so much more about the world, and this book denied you so hard.
it did. Because I was like, oh, we're learning about a different aspect of supernatural society, demons who we didn't really learn about before. And then we don't. Like,
We
oh,
do
your father was created by Lucifer?
for
Tell me
chat
more.
and viewers, we learn a bit. We just did not learn a ton. Like nowhere near as much as we did about Shifter Society.
Yeah. And they like alluded to a lot of cool things, but like didn't give you anything. They're like, here's a taste, and then we're just gone. There's nothing else on the plate. That was it. So, but
So
yeah, with the demon form, him like having to lean into his demon form to get to her quicker, even though that's hurting his soul, like that would be really cool, but we didn't get that.
all right. So I have two questions for you.
All right.
If this had been your book one, would you have continued the series?
No.
All right. Having said that, do you want to finish off this series with not your crush's cauldron?
I want to try because I want to learn about angels and I like Olive.
I want to know about her shady. I swear, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be so heartbroken if. All right,
It's gonna be so disappointing.
no. Okay, no, because like Damien's past is so interesting and everything.
But then
But
it
okay,
ended. Like, but we don't get to know about it. We just like,
I feel like we do, but like we learn enough about it that I know I would not be disappointed to know more. Um,
we learned enough about it
so
where I'm like, oh, tell me more instead of telling me what his dick feels like in his jeans every time she wears pants.
okay, so as you know, I have not read Not Your Crush's Cauldron because when I read the first two, it didn't have an audiobook yet. Like the
Yeah.
paperback was out, but it didn't have an audiobook. And then by the time I remembered the series existed, we were doing this and I had
Yeah.
you with book one. So, all right.
So
Then,
yes, I do want to read it, but I would like the privilege of if I get into it and go, I can't stand this. Please no. We'll choose a different book.
this depend. Okay, because I was debating about that. Because you know, if you do that the day before or the day of,
Well,
I
you'll
don't
already
have
have read it.
time to pick
Yeah.
another book.
What if I pick it? Well, I actually start it after we finish Scum Villain, like actually this time, which is
No,
what
what
I
I was
tried to
gonna
do with this, and then I couldn't.
what I
Um,
was gonna say is you do know you can just DNF.
but we have to talk about it.
Yeah, and you can talk about why you DNF'd, and then I can
Oh,
talk to you about the rest of it, and then you can be
yeah.
like, "Oh shit, I should have," or "Oh well, I'm glad I didn't."
I gave myself a pep talk in the mirror to finish this book. I was like, no,
For
you're
this,
doing the thing. Sam already postponed it. You can't just bail.
like for this one, I felt like even if I told you you could DNF, you might have still, just because of Olive and book three.
Yeah.
But Yes,
So,
Olive is the finisher of the trilogy. So
yeah. It sucks that Harper doesn't get a book. Because it's the Supernatural singles, not the Supernatural.
well, there is a fourth Supernatural single coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've
So
seen
it's just of these, but like
the main trilogy, yeah.
Yeah, the main trilogy, and I don't know if the fourth Supernatural single, like I am uncertain how it. I just know it's coming out soon.
Oh, we mentioned gay people a couple times in this book. I was like, yeah, gay people.
Yes.
I just feel like I have to give credit where the credit is due. I think I mentioned that there weren't enough like even existing gay people in some other books, but I think that's yeah. It was nice to see just background gay people.
Yeah, it's Sherilyn Kenyon's books were
Yeah,
they were written in a time when publishers would not have.
that's why I don't fault them for
Yeah.
that. But for this, it does get like, hey, you did it, good job.
In some of Sherilyn's later, like in her sci-fi series, at least she does have one canonically gay couple that she even wrote a novella about how they got together. So
another thing about this, I thought he had dark brown hair, and there was a blonde man on the cover.
So there is.
Yep.
We already know not to trust the covers.
I know. His dark hair is long enough to pull back in a ponytail at one point.
Yeah.
That's not
so
worthy here.
Tentatively,
Mm-hmm.
the 12th, we will be discussing Scum Villain Self-Saving System Volume 4, which we have already completed the primary plot line. So these will be the short stories that may endear me to the main couple finally.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
And then again, tentatively on the 26th. No, sorry. It won't be on the 12th. It'll be on the 13th because we are officially, our book talks will be on Sundays instead of Saturdays for the foreseeable future. So the 13th would be Scum Villain, and the 27th will be Not Your Crush's Cauldron, which I actually, the cover, that I can see that being Olive and Adrian.
Yes. Does every man in this series have a motorcycle? Actually, I don't know if Lincoln did, but Damien definitely did, and there's a motorcycle right there. So, did this trio of friends go out in college and all get motorcycles?
I think so. You know, that actually makes a lot of sense. Except,
I thought Lincoln had like a Jeep or something.
I mean, he can have multiple vehicles.
I know, he's rich. He can have multiple cars.
Also, the Guardian Angel's not part of the trio of friends.
Does
Adrian, the second in command, whom we ship with Harper.
Yeah, you just called him Adrian, so
I know, I fucked up. Because Adrian sounds like an angel name to me.
It does. Baz can just have it.
Yes.
So all of these guys, now that they're friends, are just all getting motorcycles.
Yeah, they're in a biker gang. But yes, this is our next one.
This one's, I think, longer than the other ones because
it looks thicker.
It is hefty. Let's see. It's only like 70 pages longer.
Like Monday, the week before our stream, like starting the 21st, I'm gonna be like, have you started reading Crush's Cauldron? Have you started reading? No Sunhaven until you read at least this much. Thank you all for sitting and listening to us discuss the book.
Yeah.
I had a good time. I always appreciate the lurkers. And we will see y'all next time. Bye.